Before we start today's video, I wanted to ask everybody to do me a favor. Once again, hit that like button, hit that subscribe button. It helps me out, lets me know that the content that I'm putting out there is helpful to people, so please do that. Also, one additional thing I wanted to share is there is a link in the bio for a free 30-day trial at stockmarketmentor.com. We got some great crypto investors and great crypto traders constantly sharing ideas. So if you're interested, it's 30 days, it's free. So feel free to try it out. Click on the link and let's start today's video. Good morning, everybody. It is March 23rd, 9:22 a.m. Mountain Time. That brings it to 11:22 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. And right now, the price of Bitcoin is dropping. It's been extremely, I don't know if I'd go as far as to call it frustrating. It's been extremely choppy, range bound, and it's been just really tightening up. And we're going to get right into it, and we're going to look at yesterday. I'm going to get rid of some of these lines in a second here. I'm just going to explain them to you, and then I'm going to declutter a little bit. But we did break the short-term uptrend, right? So we did come down from there. So that's bad news. That's not good. But we did hold, a little longer-term trend line right here. So that's good. Now, if we break that, we're looking at trend lines down here, longer term, and even longer term down here. So it is a bad news, good news kind of situation right now. Let me delete these longer term trend lines just so it's decluttered. And I'm actually going to hold on to that one. And we're going to keep, I actually got rid of some support levels, just kept some of the more major ones. You could see we bounced right here, which was a previous, not all-time high, but a high of the day, and a previous high of the day here, previous low of the day here, and it kind of held above it a few times, once yesterday, once on the 17th, and once on the 21st, and had a bounce. Hasn't really had its bounce yet. It is holding, so that's good. The RSI, as you can see, is tightening up, so I expect a little more flatness to this, and I'm going to tell you why that could be a good thing also. One thing I did do on this chart is I got rid of the curve that I drew in here. It's, for me, too hard to be accurate, and in my opinion, hard to draw until you've actually gone parabolic. And by parabolic, I mean like 100 or 200% in a day or two. And I got rid of that. It did break through that, so maybe something to be aware of, be concerned about. I'm not really too concerned. Call me a permabull or what. I don't feel like I'm a permabull. I feel like I'm pretty realistic when it comes down to it. And I'm going to show you why the price dropped. It was mentioned in the Stock Market Mentor forum. So for those of you who aren't in there, again, there's a free 30-day, first 30 days free link in the description down below if you want to join our crypto community and our stock and options community. So let's see. I don't want to get out of order here. Right here. Jerome Powell says Bitcoin is more of a substitute for gold than the dollar. My reaction to this was, duh. It was, if you've been in Bitcoin for a while, this is pretty well known that Bitcoin's not going to replace the dollar. The dollar is still going to be used. It's just who wants to store their money in the dollar, which is just deflating, or deflating like crazy. It's an inflationary asset, so the dollar's value is dropping in price. So the argument for Bitcoin is kind of similar to gold, where, well, store your value here where it's more, it's not going to drop like the dollar is. Well, it could still, and I think we're a while away from Bitcoin being a substitute for gold, but it's trending in that direction. And it's not a good currency just because, as we've talked about before in the videos, the language is script. right? So you don't actually send one Bitcoin. If you have 2 Bitcoin in your account, you're sending 2 Bitcoin and returning 1 Bitcoin for something that you're buying for 1 Bitcoin. There's a video there's a previous video if you want to check that out a little more, where like something like Ethereum, where it's on Solidity, the language is Solidity, you actually spend 1 Ethereum. You don't have to spend all your Ethereum and return the remainder to you. So this was first published March 22nd, 10:53 a.m. Last updated 12:02 p.m. on March 22nd. So let's go to that time frame. Right, so we are March 20th, 21st, 22nd. Oh, I passed it. 10 a.m. right here. Look at that. Right there is where the article was first released. And then 12 o'clock is right here. So 10 a.m., 12 p.m. Right, it was updated 12 p.m. and just a slow decline. And we did, bound that. It shows that it broke through a little bit, but it's probably not exact. So, and we've been coming up slowly since then. So I just think, and I'm super embarrassed because I'm proving to be a total Bitcoiner right now. This was a little bit of FUD, F-U-D, fear, uncertainty, and doubt. And that's a term that has been used for a long time in cryptocurrency. It's just something where it's just a term used when something comes out to scare you out of the price, and it could still come down more. I'm not saying that it can't. There really hasn't been significant buying pressure, so we'll probably need something to stimulate the buying pressure again. But we're looking at these support levels. Number 1 is 52,666 on Coinbase, and this trend line right here, which isn't going to be able to tell me an exact amount. After that, you have some small support levels. I mean, you probably have a good one right around 49,000, but I'm going to keep that off, and I'm going to hold this right here just because I don't want to clutter up the chart too much. I want to make it a little easier to read. And we'll still extend this because this is still in play. We've just moved out to a new channel. So we'll look to break that, to swing to the upside. Now with the RSI here, you could see the consolidation in Bitcoin. It's not really doing anything. It's just kind of going up and going down, going up and down. MACD is showing the same thing. So the good news there is that produces a lot of opportunity for altcoins, which altcoins have been dropping too. But in the past, generally when Bitcoin is flat, altcoins have their opportunity. So we've looked at the Bitcoin dominance chart. I've added these trend lines in here. Under 61 again. I mean, this is the bottom end of where we've been holding. But the interesting thing is if you look at the RSI, has broken down. So now I'm hoping it follows through with a breakdown in price. And I'm not hoping it does that with a drop in the Bitcoin price. I'm hoping it does that with a rise in the altcoin prices, because that's where the real big money is made. It's riskier, but the altcoins those are the ones that have the 5 times, 10 times returns. And you've seen that over the last few months, how that's happened. So we're hoping that this breakdown in the RSI trend line carries over to the breakdown in the price of Bitcoin. We've been watching this for a while, and we know that if this happens, that it's going to be a probably, we don't know, we never know, probably going to be a good run for the altcoins, which have been kind of doing something similar to Bitcoin, but with a little bit different look. It's been pretty flat. You can see that it's holding pretty high still. Hasn't pulled back like Bitcoin has. And maybe we're ready for a run. I don't know. We'll look at... It's a good chart to watch. We'll watch for a break of the all-time highs, which actually happened. The previous one was right here, but it's banging on the door. I'm going to keep that right there because we want to see a break and hold above this market cap of 702,932,000,000. So yeah, that's what we want to see, and it's looking pretty positive for the altcoins. So just wanted to touch on the futures. Just want to make sure that you're watching this. If you're watching Bitcoin, you definitely want to watch it from close on Friday till open on Monday. I can't remember if we had a gap or not, but it didn't have any. It still had a sell-off. Usually we have a gap and then we sell off to close the gap. It didn't look like, no, we opened within range. So maybe on some of the shorter time frames, but the daily is the most important for the long term, except the weekly. But we still sold off on that Powell news. So that's what we're looking at for Bitcoin. It's been really choppy. Don't force things. I had a couple trades on Cardano eat me up after having a really good run on it from about $1.16 to about $1.41. Went up to like $1.49, I think. $1.90 something on Coinbase. So if you were able to transfer it over and sell there, you made a killing. I wasn't, but I still made a good trade, and then a couple bad trades. So kind of not. I made a trade on it this morning and just got in, got out. Turned out to be the right decision since I had two other ones that have failed me. Really just holding my longer term core positions and looking for small opportunities, which are really all that exists right now. For the altcoins, if you're looking to build a position and buy the dips, that's a good strategy if you're betting that we have a big run on altcoins due to the, if we see this breakdown. And then I'm going to actually add, just to be sure, I think this will be smart to add this in here just as a final last stand for Bitcoin is right here at this 59.64% level, and that breaks down. I think that'll confirm things. So I think moving on, just to it's kind of like a bad news good news. Like I said, we broke down out of this trend line. I'm going to keep that there because I'd almost like to see like a reclaim of that eventually, get back into the channel, and that would be really bullish. So I'm going to hang on to that line. It's not super important. Mainly this trend line holding is what's important. And if that doesn't, then one of those ones that the next longer term trend line that I took off the chart will be the one that I'll add back in and I'll be looking at. So we still have catalysts. The one catalyst is the Coinbase IPO, and it has delayed the IPO, and it has delayed it to April, sometime in April. I don't know the exact day, but no reason was given for the delay, but I have an idea about that. But Bloomberg noted the U.S. Securities and Exchange Commission has been reviewing the San Francisco-based exchange's plan for direct listing. They announced in January its plans to go public on the NASDAQ, and this past week registered for as many as 114.9 million shares to be traded. Coinbase Class A shares will make their debut on NASDAQ Global Select Market under the ticker COIN. Coindesk reached out to Coinbase but did not receive a response by press time. On Friday, it was announced Coinbase will pay $6.5 million in settlement with the commodity futures trading over allegations of the self-traded digital assets between 2015 and 2018. That's what this article is about. So this one's on CoinDesk. This one is on Industry Global News. I just Googled it because I wanted to look more into the $6.5 million, and I am guessing that this is why they delayed it. So you get a fine. You want your IPO to do as well as possible, so you want this stuff to, it's a sign in. So just Google it if you want to read more about it. I'm sure there's a free or non-subscription based news channel that will allow you to read the full article here. But they wanted to do as well as possible, so they probably want this all to be behind them. Just my thoughts. And, some more just bullish headlines. Currency over time goes to zero. It eventually becomes worthless. Every single currency in the history of the world has become worthless. Look it up. There's I want to say like 6,000 currencies, and every single one of them has gone to zero. So there needs to be a solution for this, and the solution right now, which I don't think is the long-term solution, is to hold your money in either Bitcoin or gold, right? And right now, the exciting one is Bitcoin. The boring one is gold, but gold is stable. It's losing its value, but not at the rate that the U.S. dollar is. But Bitcoin searches in Turkey spike 566% after Turkish lira drops 14%. And you're seeing more and more of this everywhere. It's just currencies are dropping, so people are looking for a place to store their value. Nigeria's central bank not discouraging people from trading crypto, says governor. This is interesting because they recently tried to ban it, just like India tried to ban it. You can't ban Bitcoin. I was trying to explain this to my neighbor yesterday, and it's hard to understand, but as long as you have an internet connection, you cannot ban Bitcoin. So they're just delaying the inevitable. It's like I said before, an idea's time has come, and that doesn't necessarily mean that the value of it is going to go to $300,000 per Bitcoin. I think it does, but that doesn't necessarily mean it's a certainty. But currencies are dropping. Governments are printing more and more currency left and right. It's not a long-term solution. So one other thing that I wanted to talk about is crypto quant chart, right? Is the all exchange reserve. This is the dollar amount of Bitcoin available on exchanges. So this black line is the price of Bitcoin, and the reddish orangish line is the reserve. What this means is Bitcoin is moving off exchanges, so there's not as much left on exchanges to trade. This is, in simpler terms, the amount of Bitcoin held in all exchanges wallets, right? So the non-exchange wallets, the like your ledgers, people are storing it offline. They're taking it off exchanges. There's less and less supply. And this is one thing I talked about back in January when I made my first video, is it's a supply and demand thing. So these are the things that give me confidence that the run is extended. We looked at why the price dropped, right? There's really nothing exciting right now. There's no $500 million buyer. There's no $1 billion buyer, right? It's just retail slowly like buying, and they're not the big money. But this is the type of thing that I look into that says like, okay, the supply is running lower. The supply keeps running lower, 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 lower. So it's just something. I'm not saying that the price of Bitcoin isn't going to continue to drop. It looks like it's holding that 55,000 price area, but it's kind of like a 50-50 time right now. Is it going to go up? Is it going to go down? Flip a coin. So there's nothing telling me to go all in at this point, but there are things telling me that there's still reasons that it's going to go up. And make your own decision on that, but that's just how I feel. And just want to briefly touch on Ethereum. So something people may or may not heard about is the Berlin upgrade. Something people probably have heard about is EIP 1559, but that doesn't go into effect until July. And who knows if it'll be delayed, and who knows if the run is still going strong by the time that happens. So the problem with Ethereum is the scaling and the fees because of the scaling. The more people use Ethereum, the higher the prices go, and it's not a long-lasting solution, so they have to fix that. So EIP 1559 is going to help fix the scaling issues, which will help reduce the fees. And right here, I'm not going to go into it. You could read about the Berlin upgrade. April 14th, it goes into play just because we're getting a little long on the video. And this article from Cointelegraph, will Berlin really help ease Ether's growing pains? And then it'll talk about the EIP 1559, slated to go live sometime in July. So there's still nothing out there. There's no reason to be like super aggressive on the bullishness of Ethereum, but if this run lasts into July, this will be a very big deal. So anyways, I want to leave you at that. I'm not going to get into altcoins. I wanted to keep this video a little shorter as well. I did get a new light, so hopefully that helps a little bit, and hopefully that makes a difference. Who knows, maybe you don't want to see my face. But again, if you could hit that like button and subscribe button, helps me out, and I would greatly appreciate it. And have a great week. Have a great day. Have a great week. Bye.